Well, I'm going to read out of this new Apathy Press book, Stage Fright. So I'll just start. This one is called Alcohol and Power Saws. I think the guy's name was Jim, but maybe Steve or Dave. He was trying to help out for a few days. Anyway, he'd gone down to the gas station for breakfast sandwiches before we'd start work that morning on the rotted top plate above the entrance. He came back with 3 egg and cheese numbers on Kaiser rolls with a 6-pack. It was 10 a.m., I guess, and it was time by his clock. They were dark and sweet, good breakfast beers, he said, full-bodied and nutritious. So we ate our sandwiches, drank our beers, then got out the shaky ladders and fired up the power saws for the day. Chop saws, chainsaws, hog-nosed Milwaukees. The sky was clear and watercolor blue. The motors howled and the September air smelled of sawdust with notes of gasoline, machine oil, and burnt lumber. The radio played too, classic rock, and loud, so no one could hear the screams if there was an accident. And when the noon whistle blew at the firehouse, we made another run to the store for a 12-pack, a few bags of chips, a fistful of Slim Jims and jerky. It was a glorious afternoon, laughing under that autumn sun, with no thought given to death, taxes, or the fragile constructs of our days to come. These are all like barn poems from upstate. This one's called Twins. It's about the town I live in. Right-wing geezers in rocking chairs form bookends to the main drag of town. Guardians after economic flight. Sentinels over rural desertion. The streets of this has-been village are unremarked and little used, and if you do see someone, they often look disturbed or confused to find themselves caught in a tossed-out Twilight Zone episode. The signpost up ahead was stolen years ago. Mothers push carriages quickly, frightened by what their children might become if they stay here. But change is said to be possible. Metamorphosis can and does occur. Tales are told at the gas pumps and the coffee counters down the road of the rabbi that passed as a bear and the bear that posed as a black fire bush and that upright citizen of Main Street. What happened after they dug up his yard? The older families of inbred. The missing brother's girlfriend was never indicted and still drinks beer on her front porch. 1 or 2 town drunks pretend to patrol the boarded-up shops and broken sidewalks like Godot-style mall cops forever undecided. And of course, the twins still walk, their nightly back-and-forth beat. Tall, ethereal ladies of a certain age trailing gray waves of hair behind them, as if their synchronized nodding heads were slow local comets circling past the dead diners' papered-over eyes, the theater's blacked-out windows at clockwork intervals. You can't tell them apart as they walk their identical dogs at dusk, adding a possibly lucrative tourist attraction. Think Arbus, Mayor, or Meat Yard. I'm at odds with myself when I see them and vacillate between affection and fear, ecstasy, regret, fight, flight. But all the choices seem equal here in this forlorn place, cut loose and alone like a flat earth platter or a gray plate of leftover bones of businesses and homes drifting through indifferent space, searching for a civilization to save it. Now I'll read a couple of these poems I wrote during the lockdown days. This one's called Anadonia. It's not a hotel in Manhattan, nor is it a residence for the famous. It is a country you can visit, but you won't tell your friends. I'm taking the train to Anhedonia is not a thing. Besides, you might not need to take that trip at all. You might already be there, because when you arrived there was no fanfare to let you know. There's not much going down in this indifferent town. It's a grand place, but bland. There's no perfume to the air, and nobody looks very good either. The food is gray and has no taste. The music only irritates, and anyway, it's all the same genre, this and that and the other. There's no color scheme worth mentioning, no punch, no fun, not even a gun to get some action going. And if the telephone rings in your hotel room, you don't have to answer. You can stay in bed all day. The clerk downstairs knows you well and just tells visitors you're asleep. Can't wake up. This one is also a pandemic poem. It takes a train to cry. It used to be that a train was something I was always running to catch. It was going somewhere and I wasn't on it. I was the hobo trying to reach that empty boxcar to the future. But that was years ago. I still remember the lonesome whistle hustling down the rails to the call of elsewhere. Now I'm the fugitive on those same tracks, and the train is at my back, forcing me ahead. There's a rhythm to the ties beneath my feet, counting off time like a clock, clackety-clack, tick-tock. I look back and see that the train is made of dead men's bones, disease, lost potential, and things undone, incomplete work, love not given or received, and of course freight cars of bad memories, good ones too, but they don't help. In the mirror I see the engine behind my face. I hear it behind on the sidewalk too. The conductor is a whispering double, a sadist clown in railroad cap and coveralls, and the boiler stoker is some kind of John Henry wannabe on the wrong side of my desire. There's a vanishing point, and I'm headed there. Someone's playing harmonica with metal teeth. It's Sonny Terry style, but faster, more aggressive. The music means something different than it did in youth, so I think of Einstein and relativity and take some comfort in the fact that if I could just exist at the same speed as the train, it will all stop and I'll be able to catch my breath. But that thought doesn't change anything, because I'd still be moving, even sitting in a chair reading a book about the special theory. The electrons in my reading brain are going 270 miles per hour. That's slower than the speed of light, but so what? My entire skin is remade in 27 days, and I'm a fresh whole construct every 7 seasons. Neutrinos pierce my flesh 100 trillion per second. Everything is whirling, churning inside. My body is just a collection of storms. On top of that, I'm traveling 2 million miles per hour through the universe just by doing nothing. So what difference does a train make? Whether I'm on it or watching or running, I could shatter into subatomic mist at a stroke. In a matter of time, I'll be one with it anyway. Might as well get up and enjoy this doom-bound race. But first, I have to find my damn shoes. These are all pretty happy poems. This one is called Hiding Places. I wrote this for Therese. She lived in old candy and cookie tins, filled with ancient forgotten chocolates stored against future cravings, now gone to worms. She lived in the pockets of jackets never worn, hung in closets never opened, where she slept with used tickets, doomsday trinkets, obsolete addresses. She lived in music boxes, a turntable fairy twirling in her own time as the prongs of the platen struck the tone reeds of old familiar tunes. She lived in jewelry boxes filled with tarnished silver chains, brooches, and broken settings, for semi-precious stones and glass of little value. She lived in white envelopes of 20s, 50s, and hundreds folded or rolled and tucked inside pillows where no one suspected any fortune or forethought. She lived with her small glass animals in white gift boxes. Their painted eyes were only dots that watched over her since her life had begun. She lived in these hiding places amongst treasures no one could understand or violate, and I still hear her there, her soft off-key voice, like a Monteverdi mouse, a Mozart butterfly, and sometimes I see her peeking out of a tiny cave that she'd made in domestic darkness, and I think, there's that shy brown eye, that girlish glee peering at me, peering at my harsh present, wondering if I'll find her again. If only she knew how hard I still try, and that I do find her. She is my forever surprise in a fruitcake can full of buttons at the back of her white wicker shelf stand, where I also find an old ring she hidden there, and remember how it once looked on her hand. So I'm just going to do one more. This is I don't know what it's about. It's called Shopping for the Thing in Itself. The object of desire serves varied fates. It ornaments, it supplements, it even grates. It chops, it slices, cubes the laundry, does the dishes, trims the heads, kneads the dough. It needs you too. It needs us all to stoke it, stroke it. We could not live so loud or long without it, but it's no matter. It doesn't matter. Dead matter, antimatter, whatever matters. The matter rests. No more or less a pure idea than the thing in itself, or God as dead, if God is dead. And if the object too is loose, diffuse, or also dead, then maybe we in living are happening harder in the act of compensation. So go on, touch it, taste it. Yes, it feels just like a kiss. You cannot tell if it is very hot or very cold. In every case, a burn remains. You are affected. You are affective. And affectation is the rage, the currency of the public stage. So spend it well before the toll of market bell, the boom and bust of the Wall Street ticker. Time to buy or time to die. It's hard to tell, but those whose fate is buy or sell need both a product and a sucker. All right, thanks. That's the end. You can get all of these poems in Apathy Press new release, Stage Fright.